Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Happy Monday to you all. Uh, Today was nice out earlier. It seemed like it was very nice out. And then all of a sudden it kind of changed, like it's cloudy right now. But I hope you all are doing well and everybody's doing good. The weekend goes by so fast. It's like, it seems like every week or weekend, it goes quicker and quicker and quicker. It's like, Monday. But anyway, um, I hope you all are doing well. Thank you to the new subscriber who's here, who recently subscribed over the weekend. Thank you. I appreciate that. Please share these videos because people need to hear these messages. Sometimes there's things that people need to hear, but they don't discuss it, they don't talk about it. I know how I grew up. It's like what happens in this house stays in this house. We don't talk about it. It happened, you know, get over it, move on. We're not discussing it. And people, when we are in that energy like that, we don't heal from these things. They stay stagnated and stuck within us. So I am grateful and happy that I made the decision to get on a bandwagon, not only to heal, but to first start off with therapy because I didn't know where to start. It was just a lot of, it felt like walls were closing in. I was being in a place where I felt overwhelmed. And I started with therapy. And I tell you, when it comes to this platform, let me give you a little bit of history on this. I never thought that I would ever be on YouTube talking about grief and healing, and it's not something that was pre-planned or anything. It just happened because of everything that I've gone through. And as my therapist, as I work with him and do the work and look at myself and the things that I want to fix to do better and be better. As I started to do that, I start to build little by little. Before coming on YouTube, I was doing things on a podcast, and then I just came on here because I didn't see where there was a need for it. I know other people may do something, but what I decided to do, because I don't have a certification as a social worker or a therapist or anything like that, I just talk from my personal experiences, everything that I've gone through. Because if I can get through all this, and I did it by myself besides a God, I'm talking about in a natural, I didn't have anyone there, and I was losing and losing people, and it was just too much. And each time someone died, it was just really the pain. And one of the things that really shocked me is a friend who I did volunteer work with at the church. And she was only a few years older than me. And then I don't know if she had a heart attack or not. I think she did. And they found her, um, she had died, and they found her in her kitchen. And it really, and I was able to go to that funeral, and it was just heartbreaking because me and her were supposed to get together sometime that week. And it just, I'm like, when I got the message, it was like, I can't believe this. And it was just horrific, overwhelming. And as I built myself up, because the pain was too much, and as I learned things, and I just did a lot of research about grief and pain, and looked at some ways that other people were getting over it, or just and then I tried to find creative ways to get through it myself, because with grief, due to the passing of a loved one, you never get over it, but you can get through it. And I found ways to do that, music. I have a little piano, like I mentioned before, and I spent some time with that over the weekend, and just doing things to build myself up, because there are days where I miss my mother so much because there's so many things that I want to share with her, and she's not here, and it just, the reality just starts to set in each day, each week, And when it came to this channel, I wanted a place where I can talk about grief, talk about something that we all go through. and that we all can relate to. And this was the topic. And it's not made up or rehearsed or any of that stuff. A lot of times I do outlines before I get on here so I can cover certain things, because people who are currently going through things, they need to hear this, because they may be in a place where no one knows what they're feeling, what they're going through, and they may not openly talk about it for the same reasons that I just mentioned. How I grew up and what stays in this house, what happens in this house stays in this house. They could be in the same situation. But what I can tell you is that if you do not have an outlet for the pain and for the grief, you will stay stuck and stagnated, like I was. And I had to talk about it. I had to, talk about it. I know it's been almost 4 years. Next month will be the anniversary of my mom's passing, on 2020, in April of 2020, and I still feel that pain. And when we talk about it, we can help other people, because I don't know how many people from wherever. I know a lot of people listen to this channel, especially when I post certain topics, and I get a whole lot of people at one time, because people are interested in this topic, but people are not talking about it openly. And certain things we need to have conversations about, so that we can find ways to heal. And then when we heal, we do better, we grow, we evolve, and then we self love. And then with self love, we self care. And that's what it's all about. So, I just wanted to give a little bit of information about myself and how I started this channel, and I've been here for about 9 months now, and the channel is building. It's taken a lot of time, but, it's happening one day at a time, one step at a time. So, with that being said, guys, let's get into this topic of discussion today. And the title is Healing from Narcissistic Relationships. I decided, to do this topic because, we talk about grief and the loss of loved ones. Grief can be associated with a lot of other things too: pain, grief, trauma, and all of that is, we could talk about all those things, because all those things bring pain, trauma, depression, all these different emotions. So let's get into this topic and talk about it. And when I talk here, people, I talk from my own experiences with the topics that are at hand. These are things that I've personally gone through. And I'm going to share some ways I got through it. So I was in a 10-year relationship a while ago. And it ended permanently in 2016, thank God, because I was involved with a narcissist back and forth for 10 years. And it was really, really something that was a lesson for me, and it was a hard, hard lesson, because no, if anyone know about being with a narcissist, they will charm the pants off of you. In the beginning, they can be very charming. They know how to reel you in like a fish on a hook. I'm going to tell you that much. They know how to bring the romance, the gifts, and make you feel special, like you're the only one, and have you feeling on top of the world. That's when they're reeling you in, reeling you in. And they will do that for a while. And you think, wow, and this person was a member of a church and a choir and all these things. And they like to be in positions of authority, narcissists, because it makes them feel empowered, on top of the world. And, jobs where they are in control and situation like that. And I didn't understand all of this. I was a single mom of a young child at the time. I think he must have been about 8. And, it was just, single mom working and just, and I met someone who was narcissistic. I got involved and sooner than I should have. And, it was just, for the first few years, it was Okay, but no, shortly thereafter, maybe after a year, I would say things flipped. The script flipped over, and the mask flipped off, and a real person behind that mask I started to see. And it was scary for me. All I can say right now, you can't help someone who don't want to be helped. You can't fix someone who don't want to be fixed. And all you can do is release them and let them go. And I'm referencing in particular narcissists. You want to help them do better. You try to twist yourself in and out like a pretzel, like I did, and always felt like I was walking on a tightrope. Maybe if I did this way, you know, this person would not be yelling and screaming at me and making me feel worthless and insignificant. Maybe if I change things and make things this way, no matter what I did, when you're dealing with a narcissist, it's all for me, it always brought hell, into my life. And it was just it was a lesson that I don't want to repeat ever again. That's how bad it was. And I'm not saying in the beginning, like I said, when they trying to reel you in, they're gonna give you gifts, romance you, and do all of that. You know, I had a child, and this narcissist spent a lot of time with my child, and we just, the arguments and the drinking that took place. It's like when the drinking would take place, it's like being with somebody, a whole different person. And even then it started to get to be, an ugly situation, even when they were sober, and it just went on and on and on. I can remember a time when I was in college and I decided to go back, get my degree. And that was in 2011. And my son must have been, I don't know, he must have been about 12 or something. And I was so proud of myself because I did all the work. It wasn't easy, it was hard. And the day of my graduation, this is when I knew that me and this person wasn't going to be together much longer. I was so happy. I was going to walk down that aisle and get my bachelor's degree. My son was in the audience. The narcissist wasn't there because, you know, to have an argument with me just before my graduation, just so they didn't have to show up, and it just things like that. And throughout my whole, um, academic, year, not year, but throughout my 4 years of college, I would go to Panera Bread to study because it was a quiet place, especially when I had papers to do. I had 17-page, 18-page papers to do, and no plagiarism. You got to make sure you cite the sources and all this. It was a lot of work. And that's when I really start to get into music, because whenever I get stuck with anything, when I put on music, it flows. I don't even know how to explain that, but it does. It flows for me. And then I'm getting these calls over and over again, and I'm like, I am busy. I am studying. And, it's like this person wanted to stop that. Anything positive that I had going on, they wanted to tear it down. And it was, then it would be an argument. I would hang up, turn off my phone, and then just be on my laptop trying to finish my papers. It would just be things over and over. And like, for example, I had, I think it was it my second book, or because this is my third book, it's not published yet. I'm trying to think about when I had a book event in New York City. I believe it was my second book. And I was so happy that third, because I had did a whole lot of things, promotional things to get people to show up for the event. And I was happy. It was my first book event, and it was 32 people had showed up. And of course, my ex showed up. Now we were back and forth with this relationship, break up for a minute, get back together. At this time, I don't know what we were doing exactly. So I invited, you know, this narcissistic ex. And here's when I should have really ended this relationship. After the book event, there was someone there a woman there who I had known um, from some groups that I used to attend back in the day, some single groups. And anyway, she went to dinner with us along with my best friend who was there at the time and some other people that I knew. And so this ex of mine sat next to her, and I don't call names or give any detailed information, but I'm just sharing enough to help other people out here who may have dealt with narcissistic relationships. So they exchanged numbers. My ex give their number to this woman, and and I just like, you're at my book event. This is disrespectful. And they hook up together for about 4 months. This ex meets their family, and all of this. And, it just, and what after 4 months, that person said that they didn't want to see him anymore, right? So then now this ex comes back to me. Oh, well, it wasn't really nothing. And you and I wasn't getting along, wasn't really together, blah, blah. Let me tell you how low my self-esteem was. This is why I'm talking about this particular incident. Um, I actually reconciled with this ex, after all the tears and, oh no, I love you. It's you who I want to be with, blah, blah. The least I am today and how I love on myself, I would never put up with any shit like that. It was so disrespectful. As I look back on this now, it kind of pisses me off even when I'm talking about it, because the old Lisa just, wanted it to work, just wanted the relationship, whatever we can do, because I didn't want it to end. I wanted it to get better. But you can't, fix someone who don't want to be fixed and who don't want to do the right thing, and someone who's just narcissistic. And at the time, I didn't realize that. I do today. And how dare, this ex hook up with somebody at my book event and then go out with them for 4 months until she decides that she was not going to be in that situation anymore. And then, oh, okay, let's look up Lisa, see what she's doing. Let me see if I can try to get her back, and blah, blah, etc. And because of my self-esteem and where I was in life, I reconciled, but I was really angry about it for a while, and then, one of the things I want to say is, when you allow someone to do something, horrific to you, and you reconcile, they're going to do something even worse the next time around, you know? And I experienced that, because shortly thereafter, when my ex and I had this nasty argument, because my son had a big brother. He was a friend of mine, and he was like a father figure to him. And he would spend a lot of time with him, come to my house, but he would be spending time with my son, and I'll be in my room doing stuff or whatever. And this ex wanted to control how that went. And I'm like, you don't have anything to do with this. And I was adamant about that, because that, that was for him. That was for my son. You have nothing to do with it. And the argument turned so, just crazy. And one time we were at my son's wrestling event, and I was trying to really just break up with this ex, because things were just getting too heated. And I'm getting these messages back and forth that, it just, I'm not going to get into all the details, but back and forth within the messages, I was told, you don't really know what I'll do to you. I'll cut up all your tires on your car. I'll burn down your house. Things like that. And I'm like, like, this is the least I am today. Once, the other situation, it would have been over. And I would just, say, yeah, this is not happening, right? But the Lisa I was so like low self-esteem and didn't know who I was at the time. And didn't know how to self-love, didn't know how to heal from things, you know, because, you know, in life we have to recondition our way of thinking when we want to, you know, have positive outlets. You know, how do I say that? When we want to have a positive, what, you know, outcome. I'm sorry, a positive outcome to things. You know, we have to recondition the way we think about things, you know, and think outside the box in order to know how to fix certain situations. And this couldn't be fixed because this is just, you know, negativity on top of negativity. And I was actually scared at this point, you know, and I just didn't know what to do about it. So here's where I said I really need to leave this relationship. When one time this ex was drinking and arguing with me and told me something that hurt me and made me feel so low to the ground that I knew I just couldn't stay in it long. This ex purchased my second book and had a party of friends come over. Of course, I wasn't there, I didn't know anything about it, to make fun of my book. They had drinks and snacks. Oh, we're going to tear this book apart, you know? And it was told to me in the middle of an argument with such venom and hatred. And I felt all of that. And I just, like, why? I never did anything to you to hurt you. Why would you want to do this to me? That's the kind of energy I was in. And the more I spoke that way, the more the venom and the nastiness, you know, of a narcissist likes to keep you down. They don't want to see you grow, evolve, and do better. You know, they don't want to see you. They want you in a chokehold situation so that they have control. They always have to be in control in the driver's seat. And I didn't understand that. You know, it's like, but I'm doing things for myself, my life, to build me up. They don't want to see you built up. You do what I tell you when I tell you, you know, otherwise all this other stuff comes out. And it was then when I realized that I can't stay in this. And then my child was being affected by things. And then it escalated into physical. And of course, I hit that, which wasn't expected, because you look at me and people think, oh, you know, she's a pushover. But believe me, when I got kicked, you kicked me, and I punched, you know, punched this person in their face. And I said, you know, you can't, if you hit me again, somebody's going to the hospital and somebody's getting locked up. And then at that point, I realized this is over for good. I can't do this anymore, you know, and it was a lesson learned. And I'm talking about this, people, because sometimes we people come into our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And as I add on, or a lesson. And I just, you know, all the nastiness that happened, the horrific things, you know, I was still stuck on a time where I was being charmed and romance and, oh no, you know, and thinking that this person really loved me, when in reality they were trying to tear me apart, you know, limb by limb, you know, and have me to be codependent on them. And I never really been codependent on anyone in my life. You know, I was just enjoying the romance and the everything that came with it, because I thought this person really cared about me and my child. And then boom, you know, it's like getting hit with a sledgehammer. And it was horrific, and it was hard to like get away from this narcissist, because the narcissist will rip you to shreds and pieces, you know. And then a week later, they act like nothing happened and start charming you again. It's like love bombing you, you know, and making playing mind games with you. You know, it's like that movie Gaslighting. What are you talking about? And you know, half the times acting like they don't even remember what happened. And for me, I had to heal that. It was hard, people, hard to get away from that, you know. And it finally really ended for good when I left New York and said, I'm leaving, moving, you know, away. We were not living together, but just, you know, the back and forth with the relationship. And I had had enough of it at that time. And then my son is watching this person do these things to me. And then, Mom, why are you allowing this to happen? My self esteem was so low, I couldn't, you know, I didn't know how to self love on me because I was allowing too much to happen. And so once I got rid of the situation for good, you know, I started to pick the pieces of my life back up, But before I could do that, I didn't know how to be alone by myself and enjoy my time. Because, like a year later, what did I do? I got back in a relationship, right, guys? Another narcissist. Because if you don't learn your lesson, the lesson is going to repeat itself. I talk about that. If you go back a few videos, you'll see that. I talk about if you don't learn lessons, it'll spin right back around again. And then this narcissist was different. This person, it comes in different shapes and form, but it's still a narcissist, right? And since I didn't learn the lesson, I had to repeat it. And it was when that will spin again the second time, it's worse than ever. And then this particular situation, this person was like a serial cheater. And I know I couldn't stay in that, because I'm not going to put up with that. And it was just some horrible stuff that happened there, but I didn't stay in it as long as I did with the first narcissist. And then after that, I dated a little bit, but nothing big. And when my mom died is when I really started to look at myself and my life and the people that I had around me. Because as I said in a few videos back, I've always been this subservient type of people to help people because I want people to be happy. If I'm happy, I want you to be happy too. I want things to work out for you too. But what I was realizing is that some people just wanted to be helped in a situation where they want to be taken care of. They want to leech and want somebody to take care of them, and I'm not doing any of that. The old Lisa would do that and would hope that I can fix this person up, and fix someone who's broken. I always felt like I could do that by example, and if they see how I do things, no, I cannot. People don't ever think that way because a person have to want to be helped. A person have to want to do the work to build themselves up to be in a better place. If they don't want that, nobody can help them. Not even God can help you. Help a person if they don't want to help themselves. I had to learn that the hard way too. And after, my mom died, I really started looking at everything around me. Relationships, friendship, and people just taking, always needing something, trying to be codependent, and I just got to the point where the walls felt like they were closing in to the point where, I had to say stop, and I had to take a break, a timeout. And when the shutdown happened, it was a timeout because everybody was dying around me. And I had to look at myself. When my dog died, I was just at the bottom, feeling like in a gutter, and I had to, from the pits of being at the bottom, like the song, who sings this song? Started at the bottom, now we're here. I was there, and I had to build myself up. And as I was trying to build myself up, I had to turn to God because there was no way I was going to do this, And I made vows to him, if you help me, God, with all of this mess, I vow to do A, B, C, and D. I'm not going to talk about all the vows, but one of them I am going to talk about is, helping other people through my personal experiences and testimonies, and it was just, I couldn't get no low, and God started to help me, and I started to see evidence of that. And the more I helped myself, the more God helped me. The more I lift myself up out of that hole, the more God reached out his hand and said, I'm here, I'm helping you, Lisa. You're not by yourself, even though it looked that way. The more I took a step forward, the more God came through, and I started with therapy. And it was hard for me because I come from a family don't really believe in that and think it's for people who have mental issues and whatever, but I know I needed to start someplace. And as I started there, and it was hard and difficult, but as I did the homework, of the pros and cons of the things in my life that I wanted to change, the things that, I want to change about myself and about, my whole situation. I had to look deep within to see what was going on, why I was allowing people to take advantage of me, why I was allowing people to walk over me and to treat me like I was insignificant and I didn't matter. And once I started to look in a mirror and look, I didn't deserve any of this, and to do the work, and to heal and to be alone, because sometimes it's, some people don't like to be alone. But when you love yourself and you start the self-care and self-love, it's okay to be alone, and I had to learn to do the work on myself so that I can be the best version of me. Because how can I give to somebody else or anybody else if I don't love me, and I don't think I'm not worth it, which I am worth it, and I had to learn that, and it was hard and it was painful as hell, but I did it, and I still do the work. And as you do it and continuously fight through and persevere and crawl through, it gets easier, because it's like you keep doing it and doing it, and you fall down, you get up again. You fall down again, you get right back up again. But I wasn't just getting up by myself. I was getting up by holding the hand of God. He was helping me through it as I took a step, even though I didn't feel like taking those steps. I just took it. Don't think about it, just do it. And God started to help me and lift me up, and I learned to do things that way. And now everything in my life has gotten better, as I take God as in everything that I do, and God is living proof in my life. you know, he has been there and helping me through all of it. And I know if I can do it, people, you can do it, because I didn't have any support around me where I could pick up the phone and talk to someone and say blah blah. The therapist, but that's once a week. If something else was happening and talking to people, I didn't have that. So I would just talk to God, help me through it, please. And sometimes I would just be balled up in a corner in tears. And I learned to get through it. And now I can tell you that I'm at a space in my life where I love myself. I'm still healing. Healing is a journey that is a continuation. I don't think that ever ends. But it gets better and easier. As we look at ourselves and we do the work. And when you know your worth and you start to self-love on yourself, you don't just give your time to anybody and everyone. That's what I've learned. I'm not letting people use me and think that they can take from me, because you can't. You can't. You think you can, but you can't, because this new Lisa is not having it. The old Lisa would cry about it. The new Lisa is not having any of it. And and people from the past who I've cut off and blocked and deleted, some of them try to come back, but what are they coming back to is what they don't understand, because that old version of myself no longer exists. And the new Lisa I am today, they wouldn't know how to deal with me, because I'm not going to put up with stuff that I put up with in the past. I'm not having it at all. In any relationship that right now I'm enjoying my single time and time alone and stuff. But at some point I will have a relationship, but it will be slow. It will go one step at a time, one day at a time. Let's have fun. Let's go and do something fun. Let's go bowling. Let's go to a carnival. Let's just do things and let things happen naturally. And things will be done completely different than what I've done in the past. And I've had like threats from ex that if I can't have you, nobody can. And I just delete, block, cut off. But you don't understand, that I am not the same Lisa. And making fake pages to watch me and do things, watch on. All I'm going to say is that we will never reconcile. And, it's best for you to move on with your life. I'm going to say it like that. Because this Lisa today is not putting up with any kind of BS from anybody from the past or whatever. I have worked on myself so much, and the past to me was a learning experience. It was lessons. I've learned the lessons and I've moved on. And maybe you should do the same thing instead of focusing on a reconciliation that's never going to happen, because I'm not interested in it, because I've grown, I've healed, I've evolved, and the place that I am now, I'm looking for peace. It's better to be at peace. And, even if a ex fixed himself up, or the people or whatever, that's good. That's amazing. But I'm no longer interested in that. I'm new beginnings, embracing new beginnings and a new me, and it's hard to heal people from narcissistic relationships. It's hard as hell to getting away from a narcissist, because they want to keep you in a chokehold, you know, like a puppet on a string. They want to put you on a shelf. They want to play with you for a minute, put you on a shelf, go play with somebody else or a few somebodies, and then come back and dust you off and take you off the shelf again. I'm not doing this. Are you crazy? I'm not doing any of that, And I just, tell people how I feel. I don't have to use a whole lot of profanities. I don't have to act out of character. I just have to be firm, look you in the eye, and tell you how I truly feel about it. It's not happening. Even with family members and situations, some people have done some horrific things to me, and they think I don't know. I know, but the new me, I choose to leave you where you are, wish you well, hope that you heal and get some help, and I move on with my life, because I don't want anything back from the past. All I can say is that it was a learning experience to teach me. And once I learned the lessons, to move on. Life is about, we're on a journey here to learn lessons. And once we learn the lessons, then we don't have to repeat them again. We can move forward, you know? And it's better to be at peace than to be in pieces. And if you feel that you're around, and I'm going to change the wording a little bit, toxicity, and if it's too much for you, then you can release yourself from it. You don't have to stay and be around toxicity and situations that make you feel small and weak and insignificant. Any relationship is supposed to enhance your life, not destroy it and tear it up to pieces. It's supposed to be, enhancing your life for the better. So that's my experience. Today I like to take my time with everything that I do. And to enjoy life, because life, this world is spinning mostly on misery, as you can see. Spend time with yourself, do things that build you up. I would love to, in the near future, get another pet and hang out with a pet. Do things to build yourself up. Music, if you like, um volunteer at your favorite charity. Do things that's going to bring joy and peace to your life. you know that's the message today. And share these videos with other people. Keep subscribing to the channel, because I can never give you a set time, you know as to when I'm going to be here. But if you subscribe, you'll get a notification as to when I'm on. And share this channel with other people, because they need to hear these messages. Because sometimes people want to talk about things, but they just don't know how. So hearing these videos, perhaps I'm sharing information, about my own situations that can help somebody else. And if they can get help, then they can do better. You do better, you feel better. Let us all learn how to turn this pain into power, power into purpose into paying it forward to help other people. Because when we help other people, we really help ourselves as well. So that's the message today, everyone. Thank you for being here. And share this video with other people. Invite them to the channel. And I will see you tomorrow. I'm always here to build up, to encourage. Thank you again. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. And you have a great day. Bye for now.